Okay.
Now, Shelley, I guess you're currently undergoing cancer treatment. You have been for how many years now?
Almost 6 years.
Yeah.
So,
Tell me, what kind of a difference would a unit here in Thompson make for you and your treatment?
okay, we have a small unit now, but it is like a sardine can. For me, because I'm fairly outgoing, the can is okay because I don't mind having 3 people close enough to shake hands and share your lunch with. But for other people, especially when it's their first treatment, they come in and you're like, you don't even know what's going to happen. And if 3 other people are receiving treatment right then, you're the 4th chair. There's no privacy. There's no room for a friend or a family member to sit beside you. And the terror that you're in for your first treatment makes you feel even worse because I know because we're so close, you can see blood pressures and what the readings of them are and everything else. So people's blood pressures are like 165 over 90, and unless somebody else that's in a chair talks to them and calms them down, and you almost befriend people. You make many friends. Their blood pressure will come down, but if you don't, you can see them literally shaking. And at other times, people will have actually had to have their treatment out in the hallway.
So there's no privacy the way you describe it. It's very
Absolutely
intrusive.
zero. There's zero privacy there. We're in a room that's, I think, 12 by 14. 4 of us are in that room, okay, with your feet up, and the nurses have to push somebody's footrest down so that they can stop a beeping IV. In Winnipeg, each person gets a spot approximately 9 by 12. So 14 by 12 for 4 people, 9 by 12 for 1 person. With a curtain that you can draw around for privacy, room for 2 or 3 people at least to sit with you while you're having your treatments. It's a whole matter of safety and health for the nurses also, because they only get a 0.5 position. They have to go around and find other jobs for the week off that they have in the hospital, work in OR or obstetricy, because they won't give them each a 1. They run down to the lab with your blood to get your results. There's nobody in that room to watch those 3 or 4 people.
Yeah. But you say they've got the space in the hospital right now.
They've had it since the dialysis
Sorry about that.
was actually moved over into the new building. So it's been 8 years.
The space is empty. It's just ready to be converted then.
No, it's being used as a storage room for computers. That's what it's used for. They use it maybe once a week for computer training, and their ITT is in there. Every time we meet or see some of the employees that are there, they're saying, kick us out. We'll go anywhere. You should have your room. Yeah. Today, for the first time in 4 years, we received a fact sheet. I don't know, did you get a copy of it?
Yeah.
We've been asking for that information for 4 years. This morning I went like normal for my blood test, and I got handed one and told, this just came out. You're supposed to hand it to everybody.
And what do those facts tell you about how they're handling this?
It's everything that we said. Every year they would put a tender out. It would come out. They'd get a bid, which would be higher than what they thought they were going to pay. So the government and NRHA would just say, well, we have to put this aside for another year. Hello? Some of us aren't going to make it another year.
Does that include you?
Yes. I've been given a 90-day prognosis. So that's tough. But this is one of my things that I have decided has to be done. The government has to know how angry we are with them. We've spoken more in the last 3 weeks since I said, nope, that's it. We're doing a rally. The government and their officials, and I'll point one out, Steve Ashton, he has totally ignored us in the last 2.5 years. Every time we set up a meeting, he would phone and cancel, say, you have to be in Winnipeg or whatever. All of a sudden, since he found out we're doing this rally, all of a sudden it's become a priority. It's the squeaky wheel gets the grease, to be honest with you. And so I and a bunch of my friends decided, okay, you know what? They want us to be squeaky. We can be squeaky. 8 years is an eternity. Can you imagine if, for example, Steve Ashton's wife got cancer? How long do you think it would take for that room to start being renovated?
Yeah, I see your point though, Shelley.
Like, we sit here and, I'd say over the last 3 years, we've tried contacting everybody. Since we became NRHA, it's even more difficult. It seems as if you start in Thompson, okay, and it's so disconnected going up into the levels. Like the Minister of Health 2.5 years ago didn't even know where the project was, had no clue, assumed that it was already constructed. When we had Erin Crawford from the Canadian Cancer Society try lobbying and going really hard at her, she had no idea that it hadn't been built. She had figured that 2 years before, when they had approved the money in the budget for it, that it was done. So the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. The right hand has no idea because it has to go through, I think, 7 different levels now. Oh. I mean, surely to goodness, somebody like Helga should be able to pick up the phone and call the minister's assistant and say, hey. But Thompson General Hospital has been neglected more and more since the rains have moved to Flin Flon. If you were like me and you come at least 3 times a week here, you would see the difference in the attitudes of the employees, because they have to be very careful because, the levels above them, we know we have the full support of all of the staffing in there, but they can't come out here and rally with us. The different things like the maintenance around here and stuff like that. You see the mud bog that people have to park in the springtime on the side of there's a no parking sign over there. People are parking on the boulevards and that, and they don't dig that out and at least put some gravel in it for people. There's 4 handicap spots there. That's it, 4. We've got this whole boulevard area here. So make another row and make that first row all handicapped so that people, whether they're cancer care patients or they're just patients that have broken their legs and are in a wheelchair and their husbands have to stop at the top, try to get them parked on that slanted area, then go find a spot to park, then come back and take. This is foolish.
So I guess what's your response to the rally and what the people are asking for here today?
Well, I think the clear message, and it's coming from patients, from families, from the community, is the chemotherapy unit, the cancer hub, has to move to the construction stage. There's been a lot of reasons why I ended up here. A lot of the work has been done on the technical side to make it a state-of-the-art facility. The tender that came in was above the original budget. That's the last remaining step, but I talked to the Minister of Health just a few days ago, and everyone recognizes this has to be a priority, and the target here is to get everything ready to go early in the new year. Contractor is lined up, and I can't say enough about what the families have done here, and people are going through treatment and the rest. I mean, the current facility really is not acceptable. What we're going to see is a state-of-the-art facility, and I came here today because I wanted to make sure that I can pass that message on directly, not just the Minister of Health, but certainly to the Health Authority, and I think certainly everybody I talked to today has said the same thing. It's got to happen, and I know until the actual construction starts, people are going to continue to advocate, continue to lobby, and that's the only way to do it. The goal, again, is to get this under construction early in the new year, and certainly as MLA, I'm going to push for that.
Have tenders already been put out and accepted? Or?
A tender was issued. It was awarded. I think there's a fact sheet actually from the Health Authority that outlines that. It was above the budget. There were, there have been even the last couple of years, but even since that time, some technical issues. My understanding is the technical issues have been dealt with. This is a treatment facility, so it's more than just a renovation. It will meet all of the standards, and this is a 1960s building. We'll be talking 2015 standards for cancer care. So the contractor has indicated that they can do the work. Actually, they've extended their tender into the new year. So you have the contractor. It is above the budget that was budgeted. That's the last remaining step. If we can get the additional funding, we can move to construction, target early next year.
Okay. One of the organizers, Shelley, I forget her name, her first name's Shelley, but
Shelley, yeah,
yes, she said that she has tried to contact you over years, and unfortunately there hasn't been a response. What's your response?
Well, I
to
have
that?
met actually with a number of the the cancer patients and families, and actually, I just had office hours recently. I met with one of the key advocates. I mean, the key issue here is I think we all understand in the community this is important. I do think there's a legitimate concern here about lack of communication, and that's not to point fingers. I think whenever people aren't in the loop, and especially the patients and their families, that's not a good sign. I have to tell you, even from my side, I knew that tender had been sent out, and I was somewhat surprised that it hadn't moved directly to construction. That's because of the reason I mentioned. There were some technical issues, and I did come in over budget. So what's happened, though, is the RHA has been pretty diligent. The Department of Health has been diligent. They've been dealing with the technical issues. My understanding is that's done. Only remaining issue is the budget itself, and they're going to proceed with that. And and I appreciate this. It's a health system. They do have to be careful. There was only one tender, but they did give authorization to the contractor to accept it. And I think that, the end result, when it's built, that's what really will matter. And the target is early next year.
The petition that it will be going forth to different, all the parties of government, the NRHA and such. It says, we, the chemo patients, cancer survivors, family and friends of cancer fighters, citizens of the North, and I mean the North, demand construction of the Thompson Regional Hospital chemo unit. Commence in a timely manner. 8 years of promises no longer cut it. And on it you put your name, address, and postal code.